you I'd like to give you a good news. Did I miss anyone? If I have, please accept my apologies. So I would like to first uh, give you a good news that I had mentioned about this lady, saintly lady. Her name was Padyavali in our last week's call, and she has left the world yesterday.
Ah,
Sorry, day before yesterday on Nirjala Pandava Nirjala Ekadasi.
well,
Such a beautiful, saintly soul. She was surrounded by ecstatic kirtan and very sweet, loving people. And I got a message the day before yesterday that her daughter messaged me and read my message to her, and she left the world in the most glorious way. So it is a day of celebration because one more soul has gone back home. So that is the good news that I wanted to share with you. And our discussion today is centered around a lot of discussions that I've been having with people in general who are really struggling to find their anchor, their uh, solitude, their sacred space, because it appears from an external perspective that everything in this world is very shaky right now. Has any of you felt this? Many have been sharing that the world is extremely shaky and they're feeling very uncertain and ungrounded and even causing a lot of mental agony. So I was thinking, because I was sharing with them what was in my heart, so I wanted to share with all of you uh, this meditation I have about this topic. You know, how to remain unshakable and anchored in a world that is very shaky right now. So I have three meditations, 3 points on this topic, and I want to share with you. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, in his dialogue with his dearmost friend, he explains to Arjuna, who happened to be on a very, very, very shaky ground because the people that he loved the most, the people that he cared for, the people he grew up with, his teachers, everybody gathered in this battle where they wanted to kill him. So he was extremely shaken. He was so shaken internally that he could not even stand. His knees were weak and they were not able to hold his weight. And we're talking about the greatest warrior of his time, the greatest warrior of his time. So Krishna tells Arjuna this beautiful Sanskrit verse, Matra Sparshasti Kaunteya, that everything in this world, by design, the nature of the world is uncertain. And stability in the material world is not something that is guaranteed. And he goes by giving a metaphor saying happiness and distress are like winter and summer seasons, and they arrive from sense perception. So imagine living in a world we are all looking for stability and certainty in a place where everything is uncertain. So something is not right with that expectation. I remember we were in Rishikesh for a pilgrimage with the boys and the girls from the US. And at that time, COVID came and nobody knew how to deal with it. And the world was in complete panic. Everybody had plans for life, and all those plans just wake up one morning and you cannot leave your room. In Rishikesh, there were police on the streets. They were knocking on the doors of the hotel rooms to make sure that you stayed inside. All the plans that we all had was just overnight gone. Everybody had to cancel their plans. Could any of us predict that? It's not something that we foresaw. We could not have predicted that something like that would happen to us. So this is the nature of how the material world works, that it is uncertain. The material world is not designed for stability. It is not designed for certainty. It is a place where things will always shake. So I remember when we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, we see the very unique story of this great king. His name was Parikshit Maharaj. He's in the forest, living his life as a king, practicing hunting to hone his skills in warfare. And what happens? He gets cursed by a young sage that you're going to die in 7 days. Parikshit Maharaj did not plan for this. He didn't know that he'd be wandering in the forest living his life as a king, and that suddenly the rug from underneath his feet is going to be pulled away without any notification. Is a certain sudden termination of a contract with 7 days. That's a lot. Being a king, emperor of the world, that's a lot of things to delegate into. But he immediately had gone, and it took a matter of minutes where he gave up everything in the mature world. So, by design, the material world is unpredictable. Anything could happen at any time. Bhagavatam explains that at every step in our life, it could be our last step. Every breath could be our last. So, what is the response that Parikshit Maharaj takes? He engages in his spiritual reservoir, that is his deep spiritual wisdom. And he was immediately, his life, he prepared where everything in this world meant nothing to him. The only thing that meant to him was his internal journey of the soul. So this is how Parikshit Maharaj, he shows how even though you're the emperor of the world, you have subjects, you have children, you have queens, you have fame, name, everything. None of that gives us any grounding. The true grounding is in the journey of the soul within this body. And so this is what Parikshit Maharaj teaches. All his plans that we all have had during COVID, just thrown out. And what plan really matters. So this was a wake-up call for us. Some of us took it very seriously and try and deepen our spiritual connection. And the second meditation I had was how the soul is not designed to find security in this material world. We are not safe and secure in this material world. But yet, we prepare so much of our life in building careers, chasing after titles, designations, positions, and building friendships and relationships based on this insecurity that we feel. But the point is, the material world is not designed. The material world cannot give us security. There is nothing in this world that can give us security. I know I have many friends who spent years of their life pursuing education, careers, building legacies, building infrastructures, building name, building fame, buying followers, and just creating an empire to feel this void of insecurity in this material world. But when we study the nature of the material world, it is not built to provide security. This material world by design is like that. We look at the instance of this great queen, Draupadi. Draupadi was a queen. She had five, the most powerful, the most righteous, the most beautiful, most godly husbands. And what happened is in her life, her husbands could not protect her when her modesty was challenged and was forcibly being stripped away by this evil prince. No one could protect her. She appealed. She appealed to her husbands. She appealed to the kings who were present. She appealed to her grandfathers, to her uncles. And this is our story. Our story is that we are seeking protection. We are seeking security in relationships in the material world. We are seeking security that Ramananda Prabhu will protect me, that no harm will ever come to me. So in this way, we impose our insecurity and we impose it onto others, hoping that they will protect us. But Draupadi realizes the real shelter is not in the material world. And often, even in the material world, when our back is against the wall, we have no other way, nothing. And then God becomes our last resort. But in the bhakti tradition, in the bhakti practice, we are attempting to see how to make God our first refuge, not our last option. So, this is what the sages are teaching us. And we see Kunti Devi is enacting this lila, this divine play of her life, because she is deeply connected to God, deeply connected to God. From childhood, she's connected to God. She's connected so deeply. But in her own life, she's teaching us that as humans, we should recognize that mature world is not designed for security. Material relationships, material bonds, none of this. And always keeping in mind that we should always put God as our first option. So this is the second meditation I have about the nature of this material world. And the third meditation I have is that this insecurity we feel, the danger that we feel, is actually not an external danger that we experience, but it is our internal fragmentation. There is something internally that is shattered, that is in many pieces, that causes us to feel insecure. I was last 2 weekends ago, I was in Florida for, uh, they call it the Kuli Mela. Kuli Mela means all the youth who grew up in spiritual organizations. They all gather together, and it's a sangha. There's so many seminars being offered, there's kirtans. And it was very interesting because at that time the World Cup had started. And many of my friends, they're like, Veda, you better not miss the World Cup. You are American now, you have to support the United States soccer team. So I said, okay. So in the middle of this Kuli Mela, I got carried away to spend time with some of my old friends that I have not seen in 30 years that came from England, from Germany, from Russia, from different parts of the US. Interestingly, my desire was to go spend time with them, to bond and connect. And the World Cup became uh, the event. We sat in front of a big screen watching the World Cup. It's fascinating. It's such an intense game. There's thousands of people watching and screaming. And there's us sitting on the couch and watching this game, and all of us on our phones. I thought it was fascinating. And I wanted to spend time with them And there we are to spend time together. We need an event. So we found an event. And while we're in this event, we're on our phones. I thought it was very interesting. And my realization came that we are seeking connection, and there's so much connection in this world. I mean, look at, now Facebook and Instagram and social media, they connect everybody from all corner of the world in this one little device. We are so connected, more connected than ever, but there is no presence. And this is all I had wanted. I made a sacrifice to spend 3 days, full weekend for more connection. And this was a very interesting realization for me that we are so connected, but we are so not present. And if we look in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we see the great story of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj was a great king, emperor of the world, everything at his fingertips. And he gave it all up and entered into the forest to just focus on his inner work. Externally, he was extremely austere, living on fruits and roots, drinking water from the lakes. But what happened? He was attracted to a little baby fawn that was abandoned by the mother, who was killed by a tiger, an orphaned fawn. And so his consciousness, even though externally very austere, his consciousness internally was diverted, was fragmented. And what happened was distraction. And that distraction, where his mind was focused on the deer. And we know from the Bhagavad Gita that whatever the mind occupies, that becomes your reality. And so his life was gone. His whole sacrifice that he made for an inner journey, but because his attention was fragmented, because his presence was fragmented. So is this internal fragmentation, which is our real danger, which is the real insecure zone in our life. And it is a lesson that Bhagavatam is teaching us, that we have to really, really center ourselves internally. Narada Muni Prabhu, what do you think? What is your take on this? I see you smiling, so you must have some deep insight. Please share.
Hare Krishna. I'm only speaking because you're asking me to. Just such lovely insights. Thank you so much. I feel really fortunate to be with everyone here, and everyone's focusing on some deep meditations that Vedaji has been giving us. I liked the gave of presence. I think even in spiritual circles, it can be so easy to not have that presence. because sometimes we get so caught up in our own expectations of others, of ourselves, and we suffer through that because expectations is really the enjoyment. We don't, like, let's say I'm expecting someone to give me respect, and then the person comes and the person gives me respect, but you really always find more gratification in just the expectation in your mind than you do the actual material glorification you're receiving. And so I just think the aspect of being present and focusing on what can I do right now instead of focusing so much on what will happen in the future or what will happen in the past is really, really powerful. And I think for my meditation that helped me a lot. Just something clicked in my head when you said that, so I was really grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, it's powerful. And I was thinking my fourth point on this topic was how, hardships are so beautiful because it really, really shows us the resting place of our faith. Because how do you check what is your faith, what your faith is based on? Where is it? How do you measure this? And it's so important because this danger, this insecurity that we experience, the hardships that we experience, it is for you to take a little inventory of what is your faith resting on, and what that faith is resting on will determine the quality of life that we will experience in this and the next and our eternal life, because it removes illusions. These hardships, it removes illusions. It really shows you what matters in life. I was sharing with you 2 weeks ago, another member of our community left this world, and I would visit him in South Georgia. And he would always tell me one thing. He says, Prabhu, please just give me one advice. And I said, I don't give any advice. No, just say something. And I said, if you want me to say something, then what I have to say is that you just simply, you're retired now. Your children are all doctors. You're getting all material needs met. Now you have to meet the needs of your heart. And he says, please tell me more. And I would tell him, just sit and chant and meditate. He said, I'm already doing 2 hours. And I said, do 4 hours. He said, okay, I will do 4 hours. Next time I went, he was doing 4 hours of meditation. He says, please tell me something more. And we have the same conversation. And I said, please do 6 hours. And he would do 6 hours of meditation. And I met him next time. Give me one more advice. I said, no advice. We do the same thing again. Tell me something more. Please add another 2 hours. So he would do almost 8 hours of meditation every day. And he started to realize that he was ready. What mattered, the only thing that mattered to him was being present with God for minimum 8 hours a day. And then he just had a heart attack and he just left in 5 minutes. And I went to do his final rites. And I went and I met the children and the grandkids. They're all lamenting. And I was thinking how glorious this person was. He was present every day of his life for 8 hours a day minimum. So this is his body had so many sicknesses, so much hardships, but he didn't feel because he was so present. And this reminds me of this great queen from the Srimad Bhagavatam that I always talk about, is Kunti Devi. You know, when I read about her in this wisdom text, she is what modern psychology will describe as someone with Stockholm syndrome. Because she is praying to God, please give me more hardships, give me more struggles. But when you really deeply study, her faith was so deep, it was so entrenched in deep loving connection with God that during those hardships, her whole life was just filled with hardships. The moment she was not feeling any hardship, she was praying for more hardship. Every moment of her hardship, her faith deepened in her relationship with God, so much so that she felt God at every moment in her life, personally present. So deep was her relationship, was her faith in God, was not her last option, but was her only option. The beginning, the middle, and the end, every aspect of her life. So this is why the hardships that we face in the material world is a beautiful, beautiful test to find the resting place of our faith and our loving relationship with God. So Queen Kunti Devi, she glorifies the hardships. Can you imagine? You're suffering and you're glorifying your suffering. Come on, who does that? Where is her consciousness? What is she thinking about? What's wrong with her mind is what the world will ask. But the sages are worshiping her. The sages are studying about her life because she was experiencing deep intimacy with God. The intensity of our intimacy, of her intimacy with God, is what the sages are studying to find and, and fathom. So this is what I have been thinking the last few days and weeks, just meditating how important it is for us to see this material world and how there's such an incredible place. This material world is such an incredible place for spiritual enlightenment. There is no place, there is no better birth than a human birth. There is no place like this material world for spiritual upliftment. The heavenly planets, they don't have this opportunity. The lower planets, they don't have this opportunity. Nowhere, only in this place. So we are very fortunate. And the final thought on this I had was how material world, they're all trying to sell hope. Everything in this material world is designed to sell you hope. Everything you name it, everything you buy, everything you eat, everything you see, They're only selling you hope packaged in so many different ways. Because it is that human nature to be hopeful. And that hope that we are experiencing in this world makes us hopeless. Because by design, the material world is meant to make you materially hopeless. But it is in the bhakti. Because hope is optimism, right? That things will get better. That's what the material world is teaching us. But bhakti is teaching us something so deep. It is something beyond hope. It is the relationship. That intimate relationship that Queen Kunti Devi is experiencing, that is beyond hope. Because that relationship is not in this material world. That relationship is with God. That relationship is what takes us out of this material world. This so-called hope, so-called idea that things will get better. The material world doesn't get better. Material world remains the same. Hopeless when we're trying to find in the material world. And so therefore, our real duty as loving souls is to connect with pure eternal love. When this individual loving soul connects with the transcendental, eternal, loving source of this love, which is God, then what happens? Then we experience what eternal life is, what eternity is, what eternal bliss is. In the Bhagavatam, in this wisdom text, we study this beautiful divine play of this great king of all elephants called Gajendra. It is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was the most powerful elephant of all elephants, so powerful that one elephant had the power of 10,000 other elephants. That's how powerful he was. He was the king. In his previous life, he made some boo-boo. He made some mistakes, so he had to come as an elephant. And he happened to go into this lake to drink some water. And the king of the crocodiles grabbed a hold of his leg, and he was dragging him into the deeper depths of the water. And this most powerful elephant could not withstand the force of the king of the crocodiles, because that's not his place of strength. His place of strength is in the land. The crocodile place of strength is in the water. So we have to see, where is our strength? Everyone has a place of strength, and our strength is in our relationship with God, with divine. So what happens? Gajendra realizes all his family members, elephants, they're in big groups. He's hoping that someone will come and do something to rescue him. Was there any hope for him? Family, all these things that he had accumulated for hundreds of years. No hope. But what happened? This is the story of our life. In material life, we want to hang on. Death is here. We want to hang on, but we're always looking for cures. Maybe this doctor will cure me. Maybe that doctor will cure me. You cannot imagine how many recommendations of doctors I have for my brain tumor. Go to this doctor, go to that doctor, take this medicine, take that medicine, go to this part of the world. Everyone is looking for a cure. But the real cure is the relationship. And this is what bhakti is teaching us. Bhakti is teaching us that our relationship with God and knowing that our loving Father, our loving parent, they will never abandon us. So Gajendra, this king of all elephants, as his energy is drained and his life is flashing past him, which happens to all of us when we die, he's remembering his relationship with God. And he simply, with the last bit of strength in his body, he picks a flower in this lake and he lifts this flower and he offers it to God. And it is that relationship that takes his soul to his eternal home. So this is what I've been meditating on. How important it is that this material world is such a beautiful place. It is the best place for us to go deep inside and develop the most loving relationship with the eternal source of pure love. So this was what I wanted to share with you, what was in my heart. So I'm open to receiving any reflections that you may have or any questions that you may want to ask others on this panel. Thank you so much. Anybody would like to share anything or have any questions or something?
Hare Krishna.
Anandini,
Yes.
I know that you're in paradise in Tenerife. Please tell us
Well,
that you must have all the cure for all the disease of the world. Tell us.
not really. It's raining here. So. But yes, it was so beautiful, just nice. Because what you're saying, I was just in different situations that I feel like I'm dependent on these relationships, and yeah, that I feel like a little bit like not really, like I try to connect with different people, and they don't connect with me or don't answer or things like that, and I feel a little bit like not very well about that. And so you're just so beautifully explaining that we are so dependent on these relationships to feel good, and that this is not, that Krishna is actually testing us not to be dependent on that, and that we have to dependent on his relationship with him. And it's quite a test actually to shift that in this way, but yeah, I have to let go of my expectations and just be more connected with Krishna. So you really helped me to see that. Thank you, Veda.
Anandini, I will share with you that sometime we hope that everything in this world will happen as we want. That is our hope and the illusion that we give ourselves. But the most powerful thing is to know that someone else, have faith in someone else that he knows maybe a little better than us. That always helps. He or she knows a little better than us. So this is something I meditate on when I want things to go my way. Why can't I have it this way? Why does it have to be so hard? I tendency to beat myself. Why isn't Anandini doing everything I want her to do? Why isn't such and such doing what I want them to do? So this is maybe a little helpful to know that there may be some other plans, that there may be a possibility that someone might know a little bit more than me. Someone might have a better plan than me. It helps to think that there is a possibility someone out there might know a little bit more. Well, thank you for sharing, Alandini. Catherine, you want to share something? No? You look Ramananda Prabhu.
Yeah, of course, I'm here in Belgium, and after the war, they had this popular saying that there in America you have Johnny Cash and Bob Hope, and in Belgium we have no cash and no hope. But one thing that is, when I was small, I was in this Catholic church, and I was always sitting there and tried to give it meaning what I was hearing, but I could not find meaning, because it was kind of very dogmatic presentations. And now, if I attend to programs, Srimad Bhagavatam class, and as soon as I find some meaning, I become very enthusiastic. So, there is lots of meaning, and depth. We've gone through so much, and that unites us. So that's for me a key factor, which anchors me really like every day.
Mm,
And every day there is like new meaning. I mean, these wonderful devotees come all the time, and like I was the last weeks I was into this saying that they say that what's it called? Strategy eats breakfast for no strategy eats culture for breakfast.
eats
Culture.
culture. Okay.
And it means that you can come with so many plans, but if it's not in the culture of the people, they just won't go for it. They won't buy into it, you know. And so I'm realizing, the culture we are having. I was wondering myself, what is actually our culture here in Radhadesh, for example? And I do come to the conclusion that like when we sit in the Srimad Bhagavatam classes, and actually here it's the same. These deep discussions, that's what makes that's our culture. And then the outcome of all this is that we have like a place like Radhadesh. It's so hot, here in Belgium we have a heat wave also, but where better can you be than in this place? It's two marriages, yesterday and today, and there's 150 Russians here, and it's like an oasis that we realize, and the gist, the churning, the motor of what keeps it going is the culture, is the Srimad Bhagavatam, these discussions, and this is the same what we are doing, and
Yeah.
what I want to say.
No, it's beautiful. Yes. Our community we're creating around the world is actually a culture of love. That is all we are, that is all we aspire to do. There's nothing else. Everything I'm sharing every week, every retreat, we have only one intention, and that intention is to create a culture of loving relationships. That's it.
I would say, Veda, that it also starts within, the love within. When you start loving within, it pours out of you and it embraces everyone around you.
Yes.
And that's the beautiful thing. And it's like when you connect to the divine within, you're also connecting to God. And that's what he wants you to do. And that's when the magic happens, the beauty happens, the love evolves and it grows and it expands all the way around the world in small or big ways. And it's just beautiful to think about it.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Latonya.
And
Anyone else? Yes, yeah, please share.
thank you for making it so small again. It's all about your love. It's all about your heart. You can see everything. You can hear all the news, all the terrible things in the world, but go back to your heart and relax and feel your love. And that's what I feel when you're talking. But that's what we all have to do. Just relax and go back to our hearts. And you can hear everything everywhere, but don't let it come inside you. Just believe in your own heart, believe in your own love. And that's, if we do that, then we calm down and then it's okay. So thank you.
That's why I'm a big fan of yours. Every time I go anywhere, I need to have you and Matilda with me.
Okay.
Because you always, when I look at you, that's what I remember. That's what I see. That's what I aspire for, always being in your heart. So thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Okay, beautiful souls, our material time is up, and we will see you again next Saturday. And only one request that I have for all of you is please keep in mind that your essence is the only thing that matters. The love in your heart is the only thing that matters. This material world does not matter because it only deals with matter. And so therefore, please do not forget yourself. And we will see you again next Saturday. Bring your friends, spread the love, invite everyone you can, create sanghas. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you so much.
Haribol.
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 Haribol. Haribol.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Thank you so much. Haribol.